Hello and welcome to another standard video. Today we're taking a look at the latest iteration of the blue-white artifact deck with Simulacrum Synthesizer, which got a huge upgrade in Tarkir Dragonstorm thanks to United Battlefront, dubbed the White Collected Company. A 4-mana sorcery looks at the top 7 cards of your library, putting 2 non-creature non-land permanents with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. So this is a great way to find your Simulacrum Synthesizer alongside additional 3-mana artifacts perhaps, so we get to immediately trigger Synthesizer to make a construct, which will grow with the number of artifacts we control. Synthesizer letting us scry 2 when it enters is also perfect for setting up our Battlefront, as we can potentially keep some of those expensive artifacts on top that we're guaranteed to hit. And then, of course, we've got some of the usual suspects in this archetype, with Perilous Snare from Aether Drift, also a great addition, which can exile an opposing a non-land permanent when it enters. Can also start our engines, maybe get to max speed to give us additional counters, although for the most part, once we get enough of these construct tokens, we should be in good shape. Then we also have additional interaction thanks to Braided Net, tapping opposing non-land permanents down, and then we can also craft it into the Kipu, which can also once again trigger a Synthesizer when it enters a battlefield, and then the Kipu can draw us a ton of cards as well. And then a Repurposing Bay, also quite synergistic with all the 2-mana artifacts that we don't mind sacrificing to it to get our Synthesizer more consistently and find additional ways to interact with the opponent's plan. And then we also have a few expensive artifacts that we won't be able to find with Battlefront, but that can still be useful to find with our Repurposing Bay. So we can maybe sacrifice a 3-drop to get a Solemn at 4 mana, which when it enters helps us ramp, and when it dies draws us a card, so we also don't mind sacrificing it to the Repurposing Bay, which can now get one of our 2 5-drops, either the Glyph Bridge if we need a sweeper as kind of a reset button, or we can get the Mightstone and Weakstone, which when it enters can either take out a creature or draw 2 cards, and then can immediately tap for double colorless, so we can maybe once again activate a Repurposing Bay, and then get our 6-drop, which is Nexus of Becoming, another nice card draw engine that can put additional artifacts in play, which can in turn also maybe trigger our Simulacrum Synthesizer. And then our 2-drops include the Clay-Fired Bricks, just an early play we can make to hit our land drop and gain some life, and then it's a 2-mana artifact we don't mind sacrificing to the Repurposing Bay, can also craft with artifacts for 7 mana, but doesn't come up very often. And then there's Glass Casket. This one we're not usually going to want to sacrifice to the Repurposing Bay, but still gives us some cheap interaction that can exile opposing creatures, good against aggro. And the Spring-Loaded Sawblades gives us some instant speed interaction, which can also be useful if our opponent is maybe plotting a slick shot, planning to deal a ton of damage, then having an instant speed answer is important. So we've got the Sawblades plus also the Braided Net to maybe tap down some hasty creatures. And then the Iron Crag is also pretty nice, since that can maybe set up a turn 3 Battlefront already, so that's kind of the dream if you can immediately hit your Synthesizer on turn 3 off a Battlefront. And then the mana base, lots of blue-white dual lands. Anchorage also has a bit of artifact synergy as a creature land, and Fomori Vault can also be a nice mana sink. If we haven't found our Synthesizers yet, this can maybe help find it. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the draw with a fine hand. Bricks into Synthesizer, couple ways to enable it. Facing potentially a domain ramp deck. Don't really need Archive since Bricks finds land 4 already. Can maybe look for a United Battlefront. See a Restless Prairie. Could be more of a green-white Cage tokens deck, but yeah, there's the Overlord. Okay, so Synthesizer might get answered before we get any tokens out of it, but still gonna cast it. And then I'll keep another Synthesizer. Do I want Snare afterwards? We already have Snare and Braided Net, so again, probably prioritize scrying towards a Battlefront. Opponent has the binding for Synthesizer, as we suspected. Snare can eventually get it back. And a Gold Vein Hydra can also be exiled by a Glass Casket, but we'll save that for next turn. And for now, redeploy Synthesizer. And there's a Battlefront, so I'll keep that, don't need a land after. Otherwise, Snare, Exile Binding, Get Back Synthesizer would give us a lot of Synthesizer triggers, but yeah, opponent's got another Binding, so that's not happening. I think I still like next turn going Casket to Hydra, Snare, Get Back Synthesizer, so that the Battlefront's a bit more exciting with a Synthesizer in play. So goodbye Hydra. And get rid of the weird art one. And then another Battlefront, followed by Synthesizer, seems perfect. Is there binding number 3? Not yet. Herd Migration gets a land. So they might just be on a green-white build with Caretaker's Talent, also synergizing with Overlord's token here. But yeah, let's Battlefront. And can I say no to double Synthesizer? I don't think I can. It's a lot of triggers right there. Now they probably have a Sunfall to clean things up, but that's okay. Nexus of Becoming seems like a decent follow-up. So I could go Mightstone first. Yeah, if I cast a Mightstone, I can still play Braided Net afterwards. So that seems decent. Although, to be fair, going Nexus and then putting in a Braided Net would also trigger Synthesizer twice. But yeah, if they don't have a Sunfall, the game's over, but I imagine they do. But they're gonna attack first to get their Everywhere token. And yeah, there's Sunfall. So yeah, Battlefront's currently not too exciting, knowing what's on top. But Mightstone can draw. And then Braided Net can keep more creatures tapped down. So they'll need another Sunfall. And even if they do, we should still be fine. Split Up also works. So I can wait for them to animate their Incubator and tap it down. Or the Prairie. I guess it's a non-land permanent, so that doesn't work. Alright, fair enough. I'll take the damage. Alright, so now we could try Battlefront. Small fail case, of course. Repurposing Bay can no longer get Nexus, since we have it in hand if we sack the Mightstone. Yeah, maybe start with the Battlefront, take it from there. And just the bricks, so that was a brick. Although I can still cast a Repurposing Bay and activate it, which still triggers Synthesizer a bunch. So I can sack a brick to get a 3-drop, or I can sack a 3-drop to get a Solemn. I guess we'll just get another 3-drop here. And how about Perilous Snare? Get back my 4th Synthesizer. And hope they don't have any mass artifact removal. Cease and Desist comes to mind. I don't think we care too much about either of these, but sure, I'll keep a way to trigger Synthesizer. Alright, so we've got 9 2020 constructs. Do you have another sweeper? You do? Well, they're keeping it entertaining, I guess. And then now I'll tap down their Incubator. Can also craft with artifacts to make some more tokens, but this seems more effective. So let's see, cast a Nexus. And then I can just put the repurposing bay on the battlefield. Keep up the saw blades. Or I guess a braided net now. Can also transform a braided net and eventually draw 1,000,000 cards with it. Gotta be careful that we don't end up decking with it. But yeah, I think this is good enough. Can keep up saw blades. Can only craft as a sorcery, I believe. Okay, temporary lockdown once again answers all our tokens. Also gets rid of some of our other things here. The Hydra immediately dies. But it's not like our opponent's really making any forward progress. And we can make a lethal army of constructs turn after turn. And once again, I cannot tap down their land, but I can use the saw blades to destroy it. Alright, for more revolts, not bad either. Let's say we craft. And then we've got plenty of things in the graveyard. That also triggers Synthesizer once again. So it seems safe enough to draw with this. Alright, 18 cards remain. Could cast a Battlefront. Don't know how many 3-drops we have left, to be honest. Could also, let's see, exile the lockdown. Got some options. Sure, I guess we'll go for it. Battlefronts get double braided nets. Get a bunch more triggers. The draw of Nexus is not optional, so we do have to be careful there. I will keep some cards in hand, but I guess we still have plenty of ways to trigger Synthesizer. So I'll make another Solemn. And I think I can decline here on the land. Hit you for 3. Get our speed up for Perilous Snare, and then keep 7 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, something along these lines. Anchorage, I guess, could also be useful if we keep facing sweepers. Maybe better than saw blades. Alright. Do you have sweeper number? I've lost track. I guess that would be number 5. You do not, and that'll do it. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a reasonable hand. If we draw any third land, I guess it's going to be potentially an untapped one, depending on the turn we draw it. Iron Crag can set up a turn 3 Battlefront, so that's pretty fun. And we got there. Facing plains, could be a tokens deck. Ooh, Stonebrain, so we better hit Synthesizer right now before they extract it. Otherwise we might struggle to close out the game. Alright, we found it, and then I guess Snare can just exile the Stonebrain. Braided Nets, let's see. Can only activate as a sorcery, could also use Braided Net to tap it down. Is that better? Maybe exiling it is still just more straightforward. And then I want to get more Synthesizers in play before they can potentially extract them. Do I need an untapped land? Not necessarily. look for more Battlefronts. Alright, and that's good enough. I'll take it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a fine hand. Some early removal. And then facing a life gain deck, apparently. And then repurposing Bake and sack a Saw Blades to get a Synthesizer, although we drew one as well. And then hoping for land 4 to just cast a Battlefront on curve. So mono-white life gain. Could see Sheltered by Ghosts as well. Fine, just using up my mana. And a Perilous Snare could also be an answer to the ley line. I think for now Synthesizer is still more important, just to try and find a land for Battlefronts. That one enters tapped, so it's not quite what we need, so I can probably bottom both. And they do have a Sheltered by Ghosts, not too surprised. Can also snare the Sheltered by Ghosts itself, since I cannot quite pay the ward for Glass Casket. And this way we'll still get our Synthesizer back. So make sure to target the right thing, since we cannot pay the ward. And then now keep lands. Bricks can find a land, but not quite as good as just casting a Battlefront. And then Bricks wouldn't be the best hit off Battlefront. So I think we can bottom. Just hoping for as many 3-mana artifacts as possible. Opponent's got another Sanctifier, so yeah, their ley line is enabled now. Team gets +2/+2. And the Channeler's getting quite large. So if this Battlefront misses, we could be in serious trouble. But it still seems better than any alternative. Alright, I'll take it. Take out your Sanctifier. And now I could maybe keep a land so I can go Bay plus Casket, which is a good answer to the Channeler. Or just Bay activate. Sack a 2-drop, get a 3-drop. Not quite that if they answer the construct. Primate will grow. And I would be happy to trade here, but opponent doesn't even offer, so we should be in great shape now with Bay, sack Saw Blades, which will trigger double Synthesizer once again. And our opponent scoops it up. Awesome. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a keepable hand. Bricks finds line 4, so we get Battlefront going. And don't need to keep another one necessarily. Facing green-white, looks like Domain. Fine to play the bricks. So next turn we can surveil again. And then hope for a good Battlefront, pretty much. A backup one helps. Nothing from our opponents. And let's hope for Synthesizers as usual. Bradenet plus Bay I think we'll have to do. And then Bay can sack Bricks to get Synthesizer later. So I could go Mightstone, activate Bay, and wait for Battlefront number 2. Opponent's got the White Overlord. That's okay. And drew our Nexus. So then we're even more incentivized to get the Mightstone in play, since that'll give us extra mana. I think I still draw 2 as opposed to taking out a token. And then activates sack Bricks, get Synthesizer. And I hope they don't exile it. Glyph Bridge could also be effective. Although if I cast it, I guess we lose our own Synthesizer tokens. Unless, I guess we can stack the triggers in such a way that Glyph Bridge resolves first. Don't think we really need it, to be fair. Since we have some removal in hand already. Although it could be a good kind of backup in case things go wrong. So yeah, maybe I'll still keep it on top. And that's not going to affect our Battlefront if we decide to go for it. Alright, Beza is next. So yeah, now Glyph Bridge is looking a bit better. Do I tap down a token? I guess I'll save myself 2 damage. Still kind of tempted to get another Synthesizer first. So let's say I go Saw Blades, activate Repurposing Bay, then I can still Battlefront afterwards. That looks good. Could have also tapped down Beza and then destroyed it, but that's alright. So activate Bay. Get Synthesizer, and then the Scry 2 will help set up our Battlefront even better. And yeah, keep 2 3-drops, why not? So then Perilous Snare also looks okay, even though we have to be careful with exiling the Overlord. If they remove the snare, they'll get it back. So maybe we just go double Braided Net. And those can keep the opponent's creatures tapped down for good. So our opponent might have to Sunfall here. It's going to be a temporary lockdown, so that will deal with their token as well. But my 3-mana artifacts are safe. And then that taps down Beza. Okay, so we can once again play bricks, sack it, get Synthesizer, and then maybe play Simulacrum afterwards. They have still only 2 basic types, so Leyline Binding costs 4 mana. So that's not something they can cast at the moment. Possible they have like a Scroll Shift for their Overlord, or maybe to reset the lockdown. But that's okay, we can do this for a while. And then Simulacrum, trigger triple Synthesizer. Might want to start thinking about transforming Braided Net to draw as well. And get an island. Okay. Pass it back. Time for a Sweeper. Day of Judgment, at least Simulacrum will draw. So that happens. Overlord's now in play, but we can easily manage it. So time for Braided Net Transform, perhaps. Can also go for a Nexus of Becoming. That can draw some more cards. But yeah, this seems reasonable. Trigger Synthesizer, so now if we draw with the net, we'll draw quite a bit. Or I should say the Kipu, and that's good enough for a concession. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a fine hand. Bricks finds land number 3, and then we've got Synthesizer into more goodies. And don't mind seeing Fabled Passage. Synthesizer, an amazing card, but can sometimes be weak to very aggressive starts, since it doesn't really impact the board the turn we play it usually. Bitter Union, so maybe a Reanimator deck. Yep, opponent discards Valgavoth. So, for now, Synthesizer. Black-red Reanimator could also be packing Brotherhood's End as a sweeper, so that could be pretty decent against our Synthesizer plan. So hopefully that's not the case. It's gonna be a Tunnel Grinder for now. So they're looking to find a Zombify to get Valgavoth back. We can produce enough random tokens where we can maybe pay the ward. So that's kind of the plan. So this turn, probably just go Simulacrum, and then next turn I could go Repurposing Bay, sack the bricks, get another Synthesizer. Yeah, that checks out. Or we could potentially get the Glyph Bridge with Repurposing Bay sacking Simulacrum, so we don't have to pay the ward. Might be even better. Virtue goes to the graveyard. And there's Zombify for Valgavoth. Okay, so I think it's like we mentioned, get Glyph Bridge. I guess Simulacrum does get exiled through Valgavoth, so that's the drawback of that sequence. But yeah, don't see myself sacrificing 3 non-land permanents necessarily. So I'll still go for it. Yeah, no point in attacking first. Even though the Glyph Bridge is gonna blow my own stuff up, I guess I could just get another Synthesizer and just try and go bigger than the opponent. Yeah, maybe that's still better. And then we can save the Simulacrum play for next turn, potentially, if we're really desperate. Don't need either of those. No attacks. There's no second creature in graveyard that we have to worry about with haste through Bitter Union. I guess this plays may be weaker to removal on Repurposing Bay. Or just removal on Solemn, because then we can no longer get the Glyph Bridge right away. But these constructs also don't mess around. Opponent says no to a Duress. Cast another Reunion. So don't have to worry about Brotherhood's End. Don't think they'll be casting the bricks at the cost of 2 life. Alright, they did have Harvester, however, so they might go for Solemn, get a land. So now I can no longer get the Glyph Bridge, but we can maybe just sacrifice 3 non-land permanents if needed. But I'm pretty confident we can also just present lethal here, with 3 constructs that are only going to get bigger. I guess I do have 1 mana up, but that's probably not too relevant. So, cast Perilous Snare, exile Solemn. And then I guess a fun play we get to make is sacrificing Snare to Repurposing Bay, get our own Solemn back, because it goes back to the owner. So then we get even more Synthesizer triggers. And then I can get another Solemn. And our opponent scoops it up. Awesome. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw. So this hand could be too slow against aggro, although at least double Braided Net offers interaction. Still gonna keep, because Synthesizer into a couple 3-mana artifacts can be powerful. But yeah, there we see turn 1 Hard Claw. So definitely gonna be an uphill battle. I'll keep the bricks as a relevant 2-mana play that gains us some life. Maybe not as good as a Glass Casket or a Saw Blade, but I'll still take it. So 2 damage from Hard Claw. Opponent's gonna pump it as well. So not the scariest turn 2 play at least. Brick, get a Plains. And then next turn we'll see if we have time to deploy Synthesizer or if we just need to control the board with a Braided Net first. Of course, by playing Synthesizer we can eventually stabilize by making the constructs. But we'll see here. Manifolds at least doesn't pump anything right now. But we can maybe expect a Monstrous Rage on it next turn. So then I think going for Braided Net is safer. And then Battlefront's a nice way to maybe stabilize as well. So let's not take too many risks. So we'll wait and see what else they deploy. Manifold target itself. I'll tap it down. Even though on the board I guess Hard Claw deals 3, whereas Manifold's only 2. But with a Monstrous Rage, Manifold deals a lot more. Possible that going for Battlefront is greedy. And I should just go for Synthesizer, tap land, and then Battlefront. Because if we miss on Battlefront, we could be in trouble. Alright, opponents once again pumping the Claw. Do they have the Rage as well? May as well go for it while the coast is clear, but opponents being patient. Okay, I think we try Battlefront and try our luck, basically. If I go Synthesizer, tap land, I get to scry to maybe set up Battlefront for next turn to an extent. Could also just cast another Braided Net. But if we want to pull ahead, I think we have to go for it here. Hope to just hit a Synthesizer right away. Alright, that's pretty much perfect. And then Perilous Snare triggers Synthesizer. Maybe exile the Hard Claw over Manifolds. Although it's close, could just tap down the Hard Claw as well. Since Manifold is still relevant if they find another mouse. And then now we can close out the game pretty quickly. We have Braided Net to tap down Screaming Nemesis if that shows up. So I'm liking my chances, and I'll keep... Let's see, do we need another Synthesizer? Or would I rather have an untapped land? Untapped land lets me play Bay, sack bricks, get another 3-drop. Which triggers Synthesizer once again. Might be better right now. So our opponent untaps. There's a Nemesis. So I guess for now could just tap down the Nemesis and then block the Claw if they attack. So they don't. And I think we stick to the plan. So we can get another Synthesizer if we'd like, or another Braided Net. Both are decent here. I guess even Perilous Snare might be safer, just exile the Nemesis before they can damage it. And then we've got enough pressure as is, don't need to go too crazy. And our opponent scoops it up, so yeah, we even managed to beat mono-red aggro, although admittedly they didn't have the most explosive start. But yeah, still goes to show that Battlefront is a true game changer for this archetype, where before you often needed to kind of wait a turn to get your tokens off Synthesizer. Now with Battlefront you can find Synthesizer and another 3-drop, immediately get that token, plus get additional interaction from whatever 3-drop you found, and then you're often in the driver's seat. So yeah, maybe it's time people start packing more copies of Brotherhood's End. I've also seen Cease and Desist be effective against this strategy, so those are all answers to all these mass artifact decks. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.